thank you so much for joining me for episode 3 of Devspotter, mate. Really good to meet you.
Absolutely. Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, well, I'm really interested to talk about Slacker. I remember when I first saw it come up on my X feed, I couldn't stop laughing. I showed my co-founder and said, "Look at this game. This is absolutely brilliant."
Right.
And I think because it resonates so much with me, with when I was a teenager, I grew up, working in a supermarket, so it just kind of resonated with me. But before we talk about the game, I'm just interested to obviously learn a little bit more about you. How you got into making games. Is this your first game? And just if you hope willing to share anything about yourself, yeah, please do.
Sure. Well, I mean, I've been a lifelong gamer. Started back on like the early Atari stuff and Nintendo and then Dreamcast and PlayStation and Xbox, and it's kind of evolved with it. And so I always wanted to get into the games industry, of course, and make my own games. And I always tried, at various times, but um, real life gets in the way. And so as kind of my career evolved, I decided, I really want to try and get into it. So I first started in mobile with no market research, which was definitely a mistake because mobile is impossible for
Yeah.
for indie developers. It's all advertising based, and you need money to make money. And so then I looked at Steam and did a bit more research this time, and got my brother involved because he's not into, and he's a gamer like me, and that's been our main kind of way we've kept up with each other over the years. He lives in Japan, I live in Colorado, in the United States. So we just talk about what games we're playing, chat about that. But he's very musical. He's been into music and composition and playing piano and writing his own music since he was, I guess, yeah, a young kid. So I wanted to get him involved, and so I brought him on board for that mobile game we did, which was more of a puzzle game. And I think 3 people, maybe 5 people bought it. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the numbers in a while, but but it was fun to make, and he had a lot of fun making it. And I had fun just kind of creating a like front to back gaming experience, which turns out is a lot of work. There's a lot of like small details you have to get right. And we put that up. And so not long after that, and I switched to Steam, I said, okay, we're going to do something new. And then I started thinking about that, and that's kind of where Slacker kind of came from. But my background is more computer science. That's what I did in college. I've been a web developer for my career. I also did fine art, so painting, drawing, things like that, but not
Oh, awesome.
illustration,
Yeah.
more like still life, landscape, portrait. I have decent artistic sensibilities, but I'm not a graphic designer or illustrator. So I've kind of had to find my way around, what makes games look good and how to create the art and the style that works. And so that's been a bit of a learning experience, but that's what brought me here and to getting started on Slacker. And Yeah, as you mentioned, uh, it's a game that for me was all about what I did as a teenager and kind of as a young person. And, it's that kind of job where you need to pay for your car, you need to pay for your insurance. Maybe your parents are charging you rent. I mean, mine didn't, but I did pay for my own school. And so I needed money. And this is a minimum wage job, and you're being bossed around by a manager who's really self-important because they have a little vest or a little badge on. And it's not a job you love, but it's a job you need. And so that's kind of where the inspiration for the game came from.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was going to ask you what was the inspiration. And like I mentioned, like I've got a twin brother, and we obviously when we're at school, we would go and do the nightfall role, at the supermarket. And just seeing some of the elements of the game, it kind of was reminiscent for me because I thought, this is sort of stuff that we would goof around, on shift
Right.
and have a lot of fun. And I'm probably exposing myself here, so hopefully the supermarkets aren't listening. But we would literally slack off and do as little work as we could for that
Right.
minimum wage. So I think it's a really interesting concept. I've noticed, and I said this on the last episode, there's been a real rise in sim games, and for someone like me, I mentioned this previously, but I don't have a lot of time now, to do those big gaming sessions, 8-hour gaming sessions. So I often find when I get a chance or I'm on my lunch break or something like that, that I just jump in and play half an hour of a sim game. So I'm really curious. Obviously we've seen some gameplay footage drop on your socials. Um, Give us a little bit of insight into the actual gameplay mechanic and what people can expect with Slacker.
Okay. Well, like I said, it started out more as like a straightforward job sim, but I realized kind of as that evolved that um, I didn't like working that job when I was younger. I probably wouldn't like playing it as a straightforward job sim either, because that. So I'm like, well, what can we do that's different? And so that's where it kind of became more about how much can you get away with, how much can you slack off, and still keep your job. And so
I love it.
it's evolved into that's kind of the mechanic where it's more of a sandbox where you can walk around anywhere in the store or the parking lot or the area, the break area in the back, the area around the store, and kind of like GTA, Grand Theft Auto, you have like little mission markers that you can pick up. So you can do carts, you can do returning merchandise to the shelves or sacking groceries, and in between doing that, there's you can unlock other mini games like learning to break dance, which is in the trailer.
I have to
Um,
say, Aaron,
uh,
I love the reference to Ray Gun being an Aussie. I got it straight
yeah,
away. So
there's like three people that commented on that. So I'm glad that you got it because that's immediately what I thought of, and I was like, I gotta, and that I couldn't find that animation, so I had to kind of build it myself. And but I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna break dance, you have to do a little ray gun because I think she changed the sport. She pioneered some new moves for sure.
maybe
But
not for the right way too, but
right. But that's essentially the gameplay is you have to do a little bit of work, but it's not as serious as just the opportunity to unlock mini games, to play in those mini games, and then planning kind of new levels within those. So like with RC racing, I've been working on a track that's actually in the store where you're having to weave in and amongst the customers and not crash and do some little stunt jumps like off the produce where the apples are or something like like
yeah.
that. And there's different levels to that you can evolve through. I mean, I'm inspired, I guess, by some of the sandbox games that I loved, which are totally different, but like going back to like the Tony Hawk skateboarding games where
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
were just turned loose in this warehouse and you could do tricks and you could skateboard around, but there were also some progression mission elements to it. And Grand Theft Auto was that same way where, I mean, I don't know how
yeah,
many
exactly.
hours I drove around like Vice City doing nothing, but there were like mission markers I could pick up and you could do a mission. And the difference is there is no real like story overarching narrative in Slacker. It is more like evolving, unlocking more mini games, having fun, and completing each day basically without getting fired, earning a
Oh,
little bit of money. So because there is a guy that has a van by the side of the store that can sell you like your RC car, the golf clubs you'll need if you want to play golf on the roof. There's an arcade machine slash full size in his van on its back that I want to have work into the game where you can actually play games on it in the store, little like mini 8-bit arcade games on it. So
that's brilliant.
things like that.
Aaron, I think the concept's hilarious, and obviously, I can't wait to play it. And that's going to be my next question. Is probably something you get asked a fair bit, but demo release dates. Have you got any idea when we can actually maybe play test it?
Yeah, I'm hoping next month, September. I'm hoping by the end of September I have some sort of playable demo. I've been working on that, and originally I'd planned for 2025, but it's probably going to be early 2026 for an actual full release. Just because you have Next Fest. That Next Fest is in February, and so I'll probably join that Next Fest and then release right after that or very close to that. I'd originally targeted October, but as things happen, you keep adding more material and come up with new ideas. Or I have to work around my brother's schedule a little too. He's a school teacher in Japan, and now he's on his break, so he's working on a lot of music for me. But his productivity goes down a little bit in the fall when he starts teaching classes again. So
Yeah, yeah, I can completely understand. And I guess one question I like to ask, as part of Devspotter is, being a solo, dev can be challenging, and I'm sure there's been some challenges, but also some really rewarding moments. So if you're happy to share, I'd love to hear kind of what some of those challenges are that you find as a solo developer, but then also, some real positive moments developing games too.
Sure. I think my background being in programming, the development side of it itself is not really an issue. I mean, there's a lot I have to learn, but it's not. I know I can learn what I need to. But yeah, marketing definitely. I had zero marketing experience, and the build it they will come kind of idea definitely
Yeah.
doesn't work
Yeah.
in the modern world. I found
Yeah.
out, and I guess every indie dev kind of the first time they go out, they learn that, and
Mm.
that you do have to do marketing. And so I've had to learn a lot of. I'm not like on active on a lot of socials, but got active on Twitter, posted some TikTok videos, learned how to use TikTok, which I had not been on before, and um, so that's been a challenge. And but I think the more rewarding side of it, though, is just starting to interact with people and get the game out there. Just getting like people talking about feedback, comments about, hey, I totally remember working in a
Mm.
crap job in a store or retail, and they identify with it or they're excited about it. Like, you know, like you were saying, you saw
Mm.
this and you're like, hey, this looks really cool. It's fun. So that's definitely a rewarding part of the development experience because you spend a lot of time, in the dark, just kind of writing code or making things work, making little animations work. But when people actually appreciate that and can relate to it, um, that's pretty cool. And so for me, I've always been kind of a creative person. And so I just make things often for myself. And so getting the chance to like really try to make something for other people and then have other people react to it, that's been really rewarding so far.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, mate. And I think, there is that real balancing act. I did speak about this in the last episode about sort of building in public and sharing in public, but you almost don't want to do it when it's too early. So you kind of got to pick the right
Yeah.
moments to share your work and build up that community. And I think you'll find as things progress, I think you'll start really building that community because there's a lot of us that can absolutely resonate with the retail world and especially, when I was younger working in retail, I can absolutely resonate with a game like this. So, Aaron, I just want to say thank you so much for jumping on. It's been awesome to obviously get to know
Oh,
yourself,
sure.
learn more about Slacker. I think it's a hilarious concept, and I cannot wait to play the demo,
Awesome.
mate. So appreciate you
Yeah,
coming.
for sure. Well, you'll be the first person I let know that when it's available to play
Awesome.
test. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
thank you
probably
so
is
much.
going to be like a closed alpha, or I guess you call it a closed beta, uh, before the public demo. But you definitely be in on that when it's ready.
I
So,
would. It would be an honor, and I'd love to be one of the first. Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it.
oh, no problem.